Greetings everyone and welcome back to a new video. Now today I will teach you how to mod Knights of the Old Republic and turn it into a remaster with just 3 specific mods. Now this is mostly meant for people that do not want to go through the entirety of the full mod build as shown on screen, because it is a very long list. Now I have played this list extensively with separate playthroughs. Some can be found on my channel, but obviously it is very tedious and there is no one button installation like Jack has for Skyrim, for example. So obviously if you're not bothered or you're not techie enough and you're afraid of making a mistake, because I've done so too and I'd have to restart, then obviously I still would like to show you guys how to remaster the game with just a couple mods. I will already start with the biggest one, and it's also the most complicated one to install, but I will do this step by step. It's also important to note that technically I did mention 3 mods, but this mod specifically needs a couple extra forks in order to make it work perfectly, but I will teach you guys how to do that, so don't worry so much about it. But first, make sure to download. It's just called Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. It's technically the UniWS patcher to make the game go into widescreen. I will obviously have all the links available down in the description in order of installation. Now, the second mod you want to install, that is part of the first mod, so we still count this as number 1. Please, let me have this. I need this for the title. Is the high resolution menus 1.5. I will also link this in the description and I will explain it afterwards. You need the main menu widescreen fix, but this is very optional, but I'd still recommend to get it. And you need the menu pack. They're all related to the widescreen patch. This is the first pack. The second pack is Vurt KOTOR's Visual Resurgence, which is just a retexture of the entirety of the game. Now this, compared to, for example, the mod build that has separate HD files for each planet, Ultimate Korriban, Kashyyyk, Tatooine, Dantooine. This mod will specifically do the entirety of the game, hence why it's easier to install, because luckily this is just plop everything into the override folder and call it a day. Now the third mod, which is kind of optional, but I can always recommend it because I'm a big fan of it, it's Reshade. I will also explain how this works. Alright, I've got every single zip file on the desktop for ease of access. You could do the same if you have a very beautiful empty desktop and it's easier to visualize all the files. So first of all, we're going to go and start with this one. This is the resolution fix patch. We're going to go and extract this on the desktop as well. That's not exactly what I wanted. Thank you very much. I'll just call it widescreen fix. I accidentally, there we go, plop it in. Easy. So we've got the widescreen fix. Basically, don't mind these pictures, they're not important. You can technically read the README, but obviously I'm trying to help you out already. The first thing you want to do is, again, unzip the editable executable. Now, I obviously have done this already, but what you're meant to do is you could go to Steam or Good Old Games, whichever you use. Go to Steam, in my case, go to Manage, Browse Local Files, and then it's the fastest way to get the page open, and then just copy paste this into the game folder. Now, before you do anything else, you'll have to run the game at least once, and then once that's done, you can immediately quit it. I'll minimize this one at least for ease of access, because we still have a couple more things. All right, we've got the editable executable. This one has now been pasted into the game folder. Now, the first thing you want to do before the UniWS is open up this ini file, go down until you see your graphics options. And obviously, if you have a different height and width, change it to your monitor's resolution first. So in my case, it would be 2560 by 1440, and then I save it, and then you copy the ini file, and again, you paste it into this folder. Once that is done, you open up the UniWS folder, you open up the app, and then you go to Knights of the Old Republic 1024 by 768, and you'll press find it for me, but obviously if it doesn't work, then you'll have to manually look it up. Now, in my case, I can't change it anymore, and I'm gonna assume this is because mine is already patched. So there's no point in doing that anymore. Chances are the width and height will be the same as up here, and the only thing you have to do is change it to your monitor's resolution, patch it. Once it says it's successfully patched, you can close this, and then it's done. And then that's already the patch done. So technically by this point you could already run the game in widescreen, but obviously you will still have a problem with the HUD and the menu in general because they are mismatched. Next up, you have a 1920 by 1080 updated file. This is mostly for the UI. Now, in our case, we don't need it whatsoever. Well, unless you have 1080p, but chances are there's a better version now, which is what we've already installed. So you can ignore this zip file whatsoever. It's absolutely not necessary. What you need to do is close this off, and then we start up with the, sorry, I haven't paid for it yet, with the high-res resolution. Now, for this one specifically, again, I can't show everything because obviously I've already done this myself in order to play the game. But you basically have to either copy the SW KOTOR into this folder to patch it, or bring both these patches and the X file to your game folder. In my case, I found it easy just to bring this to this folder. And what you basically have to do is open up the bat file, say run. Again, please enter the width of your screen resolution. In my case, it's 2560 by 1440. I do want to fix the letterbox, so I say yes. And then I basically have to press swkotor.exe. Now, in my case, I'm obviously not going to patch it again because it's already been done. But once it's patched, you can close this off. And then you'll have to go to your 16 by 9, or, well, technically the resolution that you used. In my case, again, it's 2560 by 1440. And you copy all these to the override folder. So, once more, bring the exe file to the high resolution menu, open up the bat file, choose your monitor's resolution, and after that is patched, go to the folder of your resolution and paste all the files in the override folder. And in my case, I'm just going to bring the executable back. Next up is the main menu fix. This one, I know we're very lucky. This one is god-awful easily. This one is the easiest of them all. You basically just have to go to your override folder and paste these all in there. That's it. That's all you need to do. So you're blessed this time. It's an easy fix. Last but not least, you have the UI menu pack. Again, just copy paste this into the override folder. And that's it. That's basically just to get your game into a widescreen. I know it's a whole ordeal, especially because it sadly hasn't been patched like Knights of the Old Republic 2 has, which makes everything much easier. But sadly with Knights of the Old Republic 1, you still have to do a couple things to get it perfectly running into your normal resolution. Now, next up, we have the texture pack from Vurt. Now, again, this is very easy. There's an entire list of files, and you just have to copy paste this into the override folder. And there's a slight patch. And yet again, this one also copy to the override folder. When it asks that it needs to replace things, just click yes. Next up, which needs a bit more explanation, is the Reshade. So once you open the Reshade, obviously you're not going to get banned. You have to go and look for your Knights of the Old Republic. Don't click the backup file, click the actual executable. Go next, have OpenGL. Now, in my case, I already have Reshade, but for the sake of the video and to show actually what you need to do, just update Reshade and effects and then uncheck all and check them all, just so you don't have to do it one by one. Click next. Really takes a while, but it's necessary. Obviously, if you want to have different files. This one you can skip, it's not necessary at all. And finish. That's it. That's all you need to do. And there you basically have it. So this is now how the game will look like with everything that I've added. But obviously, I still want to give a little quick update about Reshade. Now, I obviously have my own Reshade made that was specifically actually made for Star Wars Galaxies. However, it does work pretty well for Knights of the Old Republic. So I'd like to, obviously showcase it again. There's only these 4 things. It's called Lucian's Blooming Reshade. I made this myself. Now, technically, you have to change the sharpening. So obviously at some point you'll get a tutorial about Reshade, and then up here you can choose the Reshade. Now I obviously just copy pasted it into the Knights of the Old Republic folder just so that it's easy to just find it. And once it's clicked, then only these 4 things will be activated. I will have to go to sharpen because the sharpening was too intense, because obviously for Galaxies it was necessary. So on default, it is on 1. However, that makes the game a little bit too sharp. However, and it makes it look too cartoony. It will differ per person. But for me, for this game, the sharpening is a little bit too much. So you'll have the the edit file on the bottom, and you can just change it to 0.5, 0.25. I think 0.25 is perfect, so I'll leave it at that. I don't change anything else within these options. Obviously, I have anti-aliasing, so I recommend to turn off anti-aliasing within the game, because obviously you just have a little bit too much and it's just not that necessary. And make sure to click performance mode on the bottom so that, you know, it doesn't use up as much. And then press home to remove it. And that's pretty much it. Now you've got the game pretty much remastered. Obviously, it's still the same old, just with updated textures and whatnot. But all in all, it does make it pretty well. What? Combat in real time? Wait, what does this character even have? Oh, he's got Force Storm. Oh, bless, man. Spam it. And there we go. The most beautiful place in the game. That is it. There is one more thing I do want to mention that is sort of important, because I'm afraid people will ask about this in the comment section. And that's having your character stop moving after combat, which is a pretty well-known issue. But obviously, if you're new to the channel, you're new to the game, and you wanted to update it after a long time since you've been playing it, but you've been upgrading, you know, your PC components as time goes on, chances are you have a way higher refresh rate monitor than, well, what you used to have. So the biggest problem is that the game only technically runs pretty well on 60 Hertz. And the issue is, if you have something above it, your character will stop moving after combat. Now, to mediate this, and I only know this with NVIDIA control panel, and I'm not sure how you can do it otherwise. I'm sure AMD probably has their own version, or you can go to like display settings and manually go to your advanced display and then change the refresh rate. But if you don't want to do that, there is an option separately. It's to go to your manage 3D settings on the NVIDIA control panel, and then you look up Knights of the Old Republic. If it's not shown there, you can just add it yourself, and you just scroll to, well, obviously the game. Here it is. And then you go all the way down here, and then there's something called max frame rate, and you turn it on, and you basically put the values on 60. And that will force just the game to run into 60 FPS. You won't have the stop after combat issue, and you can just run the game fine. And obviously, once you leave the game, you'll still have the usual frame rate, which is amazing, because I didn't know this back in the day. So every time I would record a video, I would I didn't even know about the display settings. I would just go at the settings with the monitor's controls to put it on 60 Hertz. So it's a lot of hassle, but obviously with this, it's a lot better. And there's probably even a third-party program that can force this setting as well. That has nothing to do with NVIDIA. I hope I explained it well enough. I know I can sometimes struggle with these tutorials, but if there's something that doesn't make sense or something didn't go as planned, let me know. I'm better at writing things than talking, so I would happily help you guys in the comment section. All right. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you on the next video. Take care. Peace.